Hello everyone and welcome back to another tutorial, and tutorial number 11. We are going to look at the approach and landing in the 737. So yeah, first a disclaimer, I'm not a real world pilot, so everything might not be 100% correct, but it should be good enough for a realistic flight inside the simulator. So yes, as you can see now, we are approaching 150 and we are past 10:01. So then we got to turn on seatbelts. So we passed 15 minutes before landing, before for flight level 150. So then the seatbelt is going on. So yes, so we're approaching altitude 150. We can continue our descent down to 10,000 feet. And yes. And there you go. We're now past the clouds again, so we can turn off the engine anti-ice. And we can still let the start music continues because it seems like it is going to be some more clouds. There you go, a fast to go. We can continue down to 3,000 feet, I think it is, to intercept the ILS. That is 3,000 feet. So when we are clear to descend below our transition level, that is going to be 5,000 feet in this case, we can set the QNH for the airport, and that is going to be 1013. So when we're now passing 10,000 feet very soon, we are going to turn on the landing lights and some other things as well to remember. So we can just say we are now passing 10,000 feet at any moment. So when passing 10,000 feet, if you have all of these lights here in the 737, just go to turn on the fixed lights and the turn off lights. The engine start switches, they can't be at off. Like, it doesn't seem like we're going to enter any cloud and at the moment, and the temperature is rising now, so we can set them at off. If it is dark outside, you can turn on the logo light, and you also go to turn on the window light, but it is not dark, and you don't need the logo light then. So just to get deeper into the engine start switches, you don't need to turn them off before you are in final if you don't need them for anti-icing. So they can stay off until final. So we are turned again. We can change the heading. There you go. So talking about the approach first. So before we are turning final, in PMDG, in Norwegian style procedure is to be at flaps 5. That's before you are at the final approach fix. If not, the standard is to call and missed approach. And also somewhere before we are turning final, we got to turn on the VSD, or the the vertical situation display. So click the center button here 2 times in the mode selector on the ND. We're going to get the the vertical situation display, and that's basically good. You can see the terrain below, and you can see the vertical path of the aircraft. So a very handy tool. Also, what we're going to do we're going to manually control the speed, so you're going to click on the speed interval. That makes us control the airspeed, and then we're going to adjust the speed accordingly. So also, when we want to, normally about 8 to 7 miles from the runway, go to lower the gear, and then extend flaps when we are good enough on the speed. And then we're going to see the cabin crew, set the engine start switches to the continuous position, and then we're going to call the air for the landing checklist to the flaps. So that means we're going to cover everything, and then when we come to the flaps, we're just going to confirm that where it's holding, and then we're going to complete the landing checklist after we have configured the aircraft fully for arrival. So what I'm going to do, that I normally do, after passing 4 DME from the runway, I'm going to select the VREF plus 5 knots and select flaps 30, and then call for the landing checklist to be complete. That is standard procedure in Oslo, but I normally use it at almost every airport. It makes you arrive a little bit faster and not use that much drag as well. So yeah, for the landing, when you are landing, we're going to, when we're approaching or at 10 or when the Radeon says 1000, we're going to call for the stabilized, if you're stabilized. That means we should be within the VREF plus 20 knots. We should be on glide path, or sorry, glide slope, within 1.3 knots and on the localizer. And so yeah, and then after when you pass in the minimums, you're going to say continue if you're going to continue, or go around if you're going to go around. And so we're going to pass the threshold that is stated in the charts. Here it says at threshold at 53 feet. So we need to pass the threshold at about 53 feet. Or 50 feet. So when passing 50 feet, we're going to look straight ahead and to the end of the runway. When passing, or before passing the phase 6, you normally want to cut off the reverses at 30 feet. In real life, you would cut the reverses or cut the thrust at touchdown or at 10 feet. I normally, depends, if I'm a little bit high, I normally cut it at 10 or on touchdown. If I'm a little bit high, I cut it at 30. And that is because of the landing physics in the simulator. So yeah, and then you are going to begin your flare at 30 to 20 feet. Gently raise the nose to about 2 degrees pitch up, and that's going to get you down, and you want to land within the touchdown markings. That's going to be all the white thicker lines in between the edge and the center line. And then when you are touched down, you're going to apply the reversers, and the speed brake is going to be deployed automatically. And then passing 80 knots, if you have auto brake engaged, you're going to disable the auto brake by manually pressing the brakes, and you need to apply a little bit of pressure because you need to overwrite it. So depends on how strong it is. Then if you have a max, you probably need to add max manual braking before you're actually going to overwrite it. Then passing 60 knots, you're going to cut off the reversers, and then you're going to vacate at the nearest taxiway. So yeah, I hope that was good enough, and yeah. So it is especially that with looking at the end of the runway, because you're going to use the side vision on the eyes to determine the flare. It can be a little tricky. I still am not very good at it, but yeah, just practice. Like I said earlier, practice makes perfect. So yes, so we're going to set speed into vent. Speed 220 knots. There you go, we're turning base. Turning base, we can set the heading selector to the runway heading, so that's going to be 217 in this case. Approaching 1000. Oh, sorry, approaching 3000 or up a fast to go. We can select flaps 5, and we can set speed 200 knots. So also one thing that's very important is that this aircraft is equipped with INS, or that is a sort of, I think it is INS, I don't quite remember, but it is basically a fake localizer and glide slope. that is based on GPS. So if you get glide path or G/P and final approach course, then you are in the not in the ILS but in the INS, I think it is, like I said. So yeah, very important that you are sure that you are actually turning on the approach mode when you actually have the ILS alive here. And this option here is actually default in the 737, but there's very few airlines that actually have that installed on their aircraft. There you go. We have the visual vertical situation display up and running. We are soon turning final, and the temperature is like 40 degrees, so very good on the temperature. Okay, we're turning final, so you can select approach, confirm Warlock, and the glide slope. And when we have captured the glide slope, go to set the missed approach altitude 3000 feet, or whatever it is at your airport. This gets 3000 and it is already set. And there you go, we have the runway in sight. We can arm the speed brake. We can see the cabin crew. So 3 seconds. Cabin crew, sit for landing please. And on the landing you are going to call the cabin crew. You set the engine start switches to the continuous position. And we can select gear down. Select flaps 5 speed. And when I'm passing around flaps 1 speed, we can select flaps 15. So flaps 15. And landing checklist 2 flaps. So cabin call given, engine start switches continuous, speed brake armed, landing it down, flaps holding 15. Landing checklist is not complete, but yeah. And for your, when you are going to your landing clearance and it is nighttime, you're going to turn on the retractable landing lights. If it is nighttime and you have got to landing clearance, so not before landing clearance and if it is dark. Okay, we can select our final approach speed and flaps 30 and complete landing checklist. Flaps confirmed down here, 30 planned, 30 green light. Land checklist is complete. And we are approaching 1000 and we are stabilized.
1000.
Okay, disconnecting autopilot.
Approaching minimums. 200. Minimums.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
There you go, 60 knots, we can cut off the reversers. And we can now exit at the closest taxiway. So yeah, that wasn't that was a little bit too low there, but this was within the limits. Okay, so when navigating your way, you can retract the speed brake. You can also retract the flaps. You can also turn off the VSD. And you can turn off the landing lights. Turn on the taxi light. Turn off the engine start switches if you are not going to use anti-ice. And when you're passing the holding point, you can turn off the strobe light. Also going to set the transponder to standby. And as always, when I'm not going to move on the taxiway, turn off the taxi light. And the flaps is up. You're going to reset trim, so basically hold down the trim button, and when the flaps are up, it is going to stop at one point. If you have the flaps selected and you do this, it is going to pass that point and go fully down. As you can see, now it's stopped, and now the trim is reset. So yes, and also after landing, we're also going to turn off the probe bit if it isn't 3 degrees up below and visible precipitation like snow, rain, and fog and clouds. So yes, that is it for the landing. I hope that you enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you again on a future live stream. So have a good one. Bye bye.